Hi, my name's Simon Halsey. You may not particularly know me. I have a very peculiar job. My job, although I was trained as an orchestral conductor, is to train choirs to sing with symphony orchestras, and I'm lucky enough to do that in Birmingham and London and elsewhere. I reckon this is not going to be an easy time for you or for us, because as musicians, we work obviously with large numbers of people. So how do we use this enforced free time? The first thing is that, perhaps like me, you'll find that some days you don't feel very creative, and I think that's okay. Don't beat yourself up about that. I'm sure you're really worried about money, for example. I spent the first week of this enforcement just working out how on earth I was going to survive during this period. So be honest with yourself, don't force yourself on days when you can't do anything. The second thing to say is, almost anything that you do will one day come back to feed your conducting. If I think about the great rehearsals, particularly by Simon Rattle or Mark Elder, they're masterclasses in life. They talk about food, a little bit more lemon juice in the sound here. What we need is a tempo that has one more espresso behind it. Or they will talk about, this moment needs to look like the Scream. I mean, look at pictures, visit galleries online, read. So many of the best rehearsals are remembering things in books, stories. And so often you can have a very dry rehearsal in which you may be absolutely able to tell someone that you need to be in a particular place in the voice or a particular place with the left hand or whatever it is. But sometimes just a wonderful image from life is really helpful. The second thing I discovered far too late is that language is vital. I don't only mean that you probably need a second language because you're going to finish up working in France or Germany or Italy or wherever. But the other thing is that none of the music really makes sense until you can speak the language. You don't have to be fluent, but for example, German music or French music, Italian music, makes no sense if you're putting the wrong accents on words, these most naive things, going in the wrong direction with phrasing, and so on and so on and so on. So a little bit of work on language is going to be really useful at all times. Broaden your repertoire. I teach conducting at the University of Birmingham, and every year we have 4 students, and they're nearly always from different countries. It's incredibly important, for example, for our German students to discover Australian contemporary music, or for people who come from New Zealand to bathe in French 19th century music. There are so many things that we don't know, so just listen to Radio 3, just go to the podcasts, just watch the digital concert hall. And if you're feeling guilty, this isn't specific, it doesn't matter. The broader you are, the more interesting you are, the more communicative you are, the better you're going to work in the end. And there is one thing I think you can do. I remember a lecture at university where an amazing man called Richard Marlowe spent an entire hour on the 9 bars that are the Kyrie of the 3-part Mass by William Byrd. That's 27 notes or something. And at the end of the hour, he still hadn't finished analysing it. A few years ago, I was lucky enough to interview Zubin Mehta, Claudio Abbado and others on how they had studied. And that generation, they all studied form. So my suggestion would be to take something like this, Mozart Ave Verum, it's 46 bars long, and go right back to school and analyse it, analyse the phrase structures. Look, it's figured. Play the figured bass. Imagine playing the cello bass part. How would you bow it? Similarly with the other string parts. What do you mean by sotto voce? What does he mean by adagio? What does he mean by C cut? What do the choir parts mean? How would you sing them all? Why does he repeat one word, Ave Verum Corpus, twice? Look at what he does, where he goes into duets, where he is where there is a tiny bit of fugal writing. Imagine playing and singing every line. Imagine getting every last drop of pictures out of the text. Why did he start with this text? Who else has set the text? And so on and so on and so on. You've all got an education. I don't need to tell you how to learn a score, but it's the hardest thing to do in the world. And use your imaginations, because I don't want to hear you do a version of this piece that someone else has done. Your gift to the world will be to do it the way that you see it, and that's gathering together all your unique experience in life. So use this time while we can't make music together to study and to think and prepare for the possibility of what might happen when we're released from home and we can get together again. And good luck, and stay healthy. And on the day you don't want to study, just watch Netflix and don't feel guilty about it.